Hey y'all, what's going on? This is your man Sterling. Welcome to another live episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host as always, Sabir Aline. Yeah, doing something a little different today. I'm just outside on the patio chilling, right? But here I am. There's always a few adjustments you have to make. I'm going to be doing some remodeling of the studio. I just got some equipment in. Going to start doing some of my designs on apparel. Yeah, I'll be doing cups, tumblers, shot glasses, t-shirts, pillowcases, jackets, all that kind of stuff with my personalized design. So it's a whole line that I'll be putting out under the name Alim, Alim. Yeah, that'll be the brand that you'll be looking for with my designs. Uh, Daddy's right here, uh, does what it does in terms of building, rebuilding the relationships between family members, especially, between the parents, caretakers of children. It's time that we do something different. We have to do something different. We have to bring the family back together. The families have been so severely splintered that family are not bloodline. Yeah, they're not bloodline. Family members now are people who you come into contact with, who you form relationships with, ones that you should be forming with your families. Children not speaking to their parents because of decisions that the parents, felt they needed to make in a failed relationship. Uh, we have to fix that. We have to. Children didn't ask to come into this world. No, they didn't. We didn't. We didn't have a choice. Our parents made a decision, and here we are. So, an understanding that, we all have our shortcomings, we have to begin to understand and acknowledge, not accept the shortcomings of others. You don't have to accept anything, but you do have to acknowledge that when you're with someone else, they are not you. They haven't had your life's experiences. They don't have your knowledge. They may know what you know, but it doesn't mean that they have a knowledge base of that particular area. And oftentimes, this is the foundation of a failed relationship because people don't get to know each other. They don't. Many people don't have conversations, don't have those moments where they sit back, in the bed and, turn the TV off and just talk to each other, talk about each other and not talking to each other about each other. That's what most of the conversations go. You want to tell me about me. You want to tell me about the things that I need to do to be more appealing, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally to you. But you're not looking at yourself. You're not looking at what it is that you said you bring to the table. You're not looking at those things because it was just talk. Now that you're in it, the talk is over. There's no more conversation about the things that are important to continue to build the relationship. So the relationship stays in one place because you don't take it to a higher plane because it started off on a lower plane and you're comfortable there. You become complacent there. And that's where you stay. That's where you stay because that's all you wanted. You didn't want more. You didn't want more, but you wanted the other person to give more. But you weren't willing to do that because you were complacent, you were comfortable, you were safe right where you were. And that's why I often tell people, listen, marriage is not my first rodeo. So I've learned things throughout the years, throughout the marriages that I've been in, that, have led me to this understanding, a deeper understanding. of human relationships, bonding, unresolved trauma, how that plays out in the relationship, how people don't resolve their trauma. They don't seek to resolve their trauma. So they seek somebody else. They seek a healing spirit such as that of myself to make them feel comfortable, because that's what we do when we're healers. We make people feel better. Well, that's just like any other drug, just like anything else that makes you feel better. A cold soda, ice cream makes you feel so much better on a hot day. Then after the ice cream is gone, you still yearn to have more ice cream, but having more ice cream does what? Puts weight on you, makes you feel guilty, make you feel like people are seeing you as some kind of glutton. But we always want to feel good. We always want to feel good. And when you have a healer as your partner in a relationship, you suck that person dry. And we allow ourselves to get sucked dry because of what we contribute as a human being. But two dead batteries can't get nothing started. They're just two dead batteries. And those dead batteries often find themselves together for years, because they thrive on that deadness. Nothing else is expected. What we have is what we have. Where we are is where we are. And we go with that because of the lower satisfaction. We're not looking for a higher satisfaction. It's the lower satisfaction that keeps so many people happy. Yeah, they're happy being right where they are. And I say that because if you're not happy where you are, why aren't you changing? Why aren't you doing something different? You can't continue to be the way you are, in spite of what you keep experiencing in different relationships. Excuse me, though. I don't know why my eyes water the way they do. Um, Maybe it's the Noxema because I just cleaned the face too. Noxema, it's medicated, but it cleans. Keep my face clean with the Noxema. Yeah, I'm old school. Noxema and shea butter. And because my skin is so oily, I don't put anything on my skin. I just clean it with Noxema and keep it moving. But I can tell you, I've been in relationships, man, where I'm the talker. And because I'm the talker, because I'm the one who brings up stuff, because I'm the one who confronts issues in the relationship, not of the person, but issues in the relationship. People don't want to confront those things. They don't want to hear about it. You want to keep stuffing it under the rug. You want to keep blaming the other person for why things keep going the way they're going. No, it's time to stop that. We have so many failed marriages, so many failed relationships, right? Because of this, intentional or unintentional. Today's focus is on unintentional ways. And a lot of times I've seen two good people, you see them together, they look happy, right? They look so happy together. They look like the perfect pair. But it's because the perception of what the one or both want people to have is that we are good together. But you don't want to do the work to stay together. And then the story often ends with blaming somebody else for why it ended. But it's just two good people in a situation that didn't work because both parties didn't do the work. You limited it. You're limiting yourself from joy and happiness. You're limiting yourself from that. And you want to blame somebody else. It's easy to blame, and then you remain just who you are, just as you are. Nothing changes about you. And you go from relationship to relationship to relationship, hearing the same things arise from the other person. And it sounds like you're sitting in front of the same person. Therefore, the trauma is deepened. somebody has done something in the past to us and we carry it. Someone in the present does something similar, if not exact, and we're re traumatized again. But you're doing it to yourself. I'm not re traumatizing you. You re traumatize yourself because you fail to make resolve with the past. The past isn't going anywhere. It's going to always be within you. It's going to always be within the confines of your spirit. It's going to always be there. But you can do something to manage it so it doesn't stand between you and your desired happiness. And then you wind up single. And then you wind up staying single because I don't want to go through this anymore. You don't want to go through what? I had an ex tell me, when we I'd have those moments, not we, I'd have those moments where I want to talk about what's happening within the relationship. And her response would be like, well, I can't do this. And I'm like, can't do what? You can't do what? What is it that you can't do? This conversation, working through things, problem solving. You can't keep going this way and think that we're going to have a healthy relationship. Because every time it resurfaces, it gets worse. And then the other person who's constantly trying to make the relationship, go in another direction, trying to make it work, right? They get exhausted. And then when they become exhausted, right, you get to the point of no return and it stays that way until it just ends in separation. For some people, they just go years and years and years and years. I've been one of those people, years hoping that it was going to be different, hoping that it was going to get better, making all the changes within myself, downgrading myself in many ways, to try to appease the other person. But why? In the meantime, you're losing yourself because you're adjusting to their living, their thinking, their conditioning, and you find yourself being just like them, just like them. That which you don't like about them has now become you. It has now become you. Now you're angry and you're bitter at this person because they made the decision, that this is not what they want to do anymore. But I have the right to do that. Just like you have the right to. So now you don't like it. Now I'm the bad guy. But you kept pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope when I told you to stop pushing the envelope because it was not going to be a good ending to this. Stop pushing the envelope. See, there's a difference between having a contentious relationship and having a relationship with a person who is just not willing to change and you continue to try to change that condition. See, contentiousness comes, out of the ongoing problematic issues between you and that other person. And you're not saying anything, right? And then you just explode. But for me, I'm a moment and you have to pick the moment, the time to talk about some things, right? But you can't let it go that past that day because if you don't address it in that day, then it's like beating a child tomorrow for something they did yesterday, last week. So we ultimately find ourselves getting beat up for things that you experienced years ago, even in childhood. Even in childhood, we're still getting beat up by you because of something you won't let go of about something somebody else did to you, right? These are choices. These are choices. Relationships are serious, and people don't take. You know what? It's funny that Women tend to think that men are not committed, are not committable. We are. We're very committable. But when we're not getting what we need from our partner, then we do dummy stuff. Yeah, we begin to do dummy stuff. That's a reality. But I'm a very committed person, right? If you're treating me right, if you're taking care, if you're taking care of me, and I'm talking about taking care of me mentally, physically, and spiritually, right? You listen. There's nothing that I can't do for myself. My mother taught me well. I know how to iron my own clothes. I don't have anybody iron my clothes. I know how to wash my own clothes, right? I do windows, right? I'm very domesticated, right? I'm very goal oriented. I'm a career person. I've been in my career for 30 years, right? I know what I want. I know where I'm going. Do I have it all together? No. But I'm not all over the place when it comes to being a person who is responsible to my partner. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. And we have a lot of men out there just like me who try real hard to have a healthy relationship, a long lasting healthy relationship. That's just one more thing I'd have to take off my list of what I need to have the kind of life that I want. I have a good woman, right? And she's willing to work on things. She's willing to address things. She's willing to confront things. And even if she doesn't, as long as she's willing to listen and ponder the possibility, sometimes that is enough. But when a person is unwilling to look at anything about themselves, they're not willing to listen to what it is that you're saying that's hurtful to you, that's a problem. That is a problem. That is a problem. There's so many men out there who just want one. The one. That's what we're looking for. The one. You get sex from anywhere. Now, you can do that by yourself. If you just want that, if you just want that release. But why use another person? And I'm not talking about like using a person in the sense that you're just finding somebody to just do. That's consensual. We do that. That's part of our nature that we get together, we like each other, we feel each other, and we do what we do. But don't push the envelope for a serious, committed relationship, a monogamous relationship, right? Just because of that. Because of all that's based on, it's not going to work anyway. Hence the reason why so many people continue to dibble and dabble in past relationships. Sex wasn't the problem. Sex wasn't the problem. If sex was a problem, it'd have been over from the gate. Sex wasn't the problem. Going shopping wasn't the problem. We could shop till we drop. That wasn't the problem. What was the problem? What is the problem? What is the problem? We don't talk. That's the problem. Effective, positive communication is the foundation of any desired, committed, long-term relationship. And if you're not looking for a long-term relationship, you're being short-term in thinking, short-term in your actions, while the other person is being long-term. That ain't gonna work. You take away years of a person's life, continuing to be the way you are, continuing to do the things that you do, right? And that's not right. It's not right. Don't enter into a relationship unless you're looking for something long-term or establish right from the door. Hey, listen, we just doing it, right? Just establish that. But that is seldom said. It's been my experience. It's seldom said. It's been my experience that I connect with somebody, we get sexually involved. The other person, you know, believes that it's a relationship, but that conversation never happened before, during, or after. Well, it comes after the end. Then it's like, okay, but you did me wrong. You know, we was doing this together, we was doing that together, and I thought you thought, okay, you thought. So I'm the bad guy because I didn't think what you were thinking. You were thinking it, not saying it, and I'm thinking we good. Not trying to use you, not trying to take advantage of you, not trying to abuse you, not trying to do any of those things. So the conversation never happened. You know, after you lay back after that first shot, you laying back in the bed, you talking about how good it was, how good it is, how good what is, how good what was. Oh, the sex. Okay, so where are we going from here? That never comes up. It's just that we continue to sleep with each other, and then somebody believes that that's the relationship, and that's what it is. And then you wonder why it doesn't last. Yeah, sometimes you can do that for years, but then the conversation never even comes up about, oh, we're in a relationship now. We're adults. Let's be adults about this. We're not children. How did you come to the agreement within yourself that this was a relationship? You have to look at that. Well, I thought because we were, seeing each other on a regular basis that it was no, I'm good. I was good with just doing my life and us connected. I was good with that. If you weren't, then we should have had a conversation. But you can't do it, pun intended, and then assume that this is what it is because we did it. Because if that's your value, if your value is that um, we're going to have sex, we have sex. And if your value is limited to sex being the foundation of your relationship, then there goes the problem. There goes the problem. No intention of marriage has been established. No intention of commitment and painting a picture of what commitment looks like. Some people think commitment is just me sleeping with you, and that's the foundation of the relationship. No, the commitment is more. Commitment is just like a decision. Three frogs sat on the log. One made a decision to jump. How many frogs are still on the log? And you get all these different answers. It's still three frogs there. One frog made a decision. He didn't take action. He didn't jump. He made a decision to jump. You made a decision to have sex with somebody, right? That was a decision. Now what? Does that mean I'm in the lake now? I'm still in decision mode. We're still in decision mode. We made a decision to get with each other. When was the decision made that we're now in a committed relationship? I'm being real about this, man, because it happens all the time. And nobody wants you to sit down and say that. And when the conversation comes up, about what you thought, and then my conversation is different than what you thought, now I'm the bad guy. Who are you blaming? You're blaming me because I should assume what you were thinking? Come on, y'all. It doesn't even make sense. And you know it doesn't make sense. But all too often, this is how we form relationships. This is how we form relationships. There's regularity to our seeing each other. And that becomes the foundation of the relationship. But all that time that we're just doing what we're doing with each other, there's no conversation about where we're going with this. Well, you didn't say nothing. Well, what do you mean I didn't say anything? At whatever point you say something, right? It's a matter of we've seen each other for the last 2 weeks, for instance. Nothing came up about where we're going from here. Shouldn't that have come up before? If that's what you desire? No, I'm not. I'm not doing nothing because. So where are we going with this? So we sleep together. Now what? Where are we going? Okay. You want to have a committed relationship? Because I'm not just okay. Well, let's talk about that. What does that look like for you? Right? Give both an opportunity to see where this is going to go or where we want it to go. See what you want to do. You want to test. You want to test drive the ride. Pun intended. You want to test drive the ride, right? You want to be wined and dined. And then what? The ride is over. See, ride, pay attention. The ride is over. We ain't doing nothing else. So we've gotten together a few times, been shopping, been out to eat, been to a couple concerts or whatever. All right, we cool. No, we're not cool. You haven't called me in about a week or two. What's up with that? What do you mean what's up with that? I've been living. Yeah, but I ain't heard from you. How you just want to go do this and do that, and then all of a sudden, no, it wasn't all of a sudden. Just like anything else new, right? We ride it out because it's new. Okay, I like this, but you like this, but you don't want to do this. And if you wanted to do this, then when you'd have said something about, well, this is what I want to do now. Somewhere along the line, it has to be said by somebody if that's what you desire to do. When it's not said by somebody, then the assumption is on both parts is that we're good. Somewhere along the line, you catch feelings, but you caught feelings the first time. But where did that feeling come from? Where did the initial come from? Right? Did it come from down your groin? Your heart start fluttering? You start getting butterflies in your stomach? About what? You didn't even know each other. Where did the butterflies come from? Because that's what you were seeking to satisfy. That's what you were seeking to satisfy. Did you see the bling and that was it? That's what you were seeking to satisfy. Oh yeah, I can see myself with one of these. Yeah, get me one of these too. So now you want to build off of my foundation and take from me to satisfy your desire. Because that's what you're doing. You want to take from me. You want me to give to you a life that you're not willing to work for yourself. So you're not willing to work to get those things on your own, but you're willing to find somebody, to look for somebody who's going to give you those things. But you're missing the other part. You're missing the other part. So love is not even in the equation. It's just words. That's why I wrote the song Before. And the hook is, I want love no more, been married before. Yeah, yeah. Because I've done the love thing, right? But it's so much more to all of this. It's not just love. And your perception of love is not always equal to that of the other person. It's not. Let's go to the article. So the article is 10 ways partners unintentionally destroy relationships, right? Focusing on what isn't working. And this article is by Randy Gunther, PhD, in the Psychology Today. So let's go into this article a little bit. By identifying a couple's erosive behaviors, we can replace them with behaviors that reunite them. These are key points in the article here. Couples may let things go they are uncomfortable with until they mushroom into more complicated situations. Longtime couples often forget to remind each other of what they value, respect, and enjoy in each other. Think about that for a minute. And I was talking about that, in my opening, right? We get together and we do all these things, and we're together for years, and we become complacent, and we no longer show the other person why we value them. We no longer talk about that value of that person. We no longer ride on the value of that person. You know, You meant all of these things to me in the beginning. Yeah, we started talking, and it was like, wow, it was like fire. That thing was hot. It was deep, you know. And then after that, it's like the representative showed up, and the representative was confused. It's like the representative wasn't even there, for all of this. You know, they leave. The representative is gone, and you're left with the real person. You're left with the real person. So once we come off that pink cloud, right, we don't know where to go in this relationship. We don't know because now we're trying to figure it out. And we're trying to figure it out day after day, month after month, week after week, year after year. And sometimes it's years before we figure it out because the representative had a job. The representative's job was to pull you in, to pull you in. This is what I want. Yeah, I put the right bait out there. I'm responsible. I go to work every day. I take care of my responsibilities. I pay my bills. Right? I'm still growing. I'm not stuck in this box. I'm doing things. I'm not just talking about things. I'm making plans. I'm setting goals. I'm making moves. I'm doing it. I'm not just talking about it. Right? And you see all these things. You know all these things. But now you want me to do something different to appease you because you didn't see that value, right, of me. Because that's who I am. So now you're seeing me, and you're seeing me in a different light because I really don't fit into your mold. I don't fit into it because you want somebody to do what you want them to do in the way you want them to do it because that's what makes you happy, forgetting all about the other person's happiness. And we stop recognizing the value of that other person. We don't talk about those things that we talked about in the beginning. It's no more complimentary conversations happening. Yeah, I love you. My thing is when somebody says that you're involved in a relationship with them, when they say love you, love you, I love you. It should be a reminder for yourself. I love you. I. It's ownership there. I love you. Excuse me, I'm a little congested here. Sounds a little ratchet, you gotta sniff, but I can't jump offline and sniff it and come back, sorry. So, you gotta, remind each other sometimes. So let's go back to the art. By the time couples come to see me, and this is the author, they are often worn down by their repeated and harmful interpersonal interactions. They seem to have forgotten how much they once cared for each other. How much they once cared for each other. I want to repeat that for the people in the front who didn't hear. The deeper sadness is that they often don't know how or when they lost their early promises of love and support. They realized that they were fighting more and healing less, but thought or hoped that it was a passing stage and they would rebound. When I point out the behaviors that were signaling potential damage, they realized that they were probably doing many of them, but didn't see the negative spiral that could eventually do their partnership. Once we identify them together, the partners can replace them with behaviors that bring them back together. That recognition and their new commitment can bring hope for renewal. The following are the 10 most common relationship destroying behaviors that predict long term damage. So let's go to number one. Number one, more time fixing rather than preventing. And this is very important because again, it goes back to uh, we want somebody to stop doing this and to stop doing that and to stop doing things that are destructive. But there's things that you can do to prevent this from happening. right? So it's more time fixing. Okay, so if for instance, I don't like when uh, she doesn't do a particular thing. Let's say one of the things that we typically do is I like you to text me when you get to your destination. We do that because we understand that things happen. We like to know that you arrived safely. In the story, we do that. Then that changes. That changes. We don't know when it changed, how it changed, but it just changed. Throughout the course of the day, we send emojis, all those kind of things, and then it stops. It stops. It slows for whatever reason, but it's never discussed. It's never discussed. And then a conversation comes up. Hey, did you? No, okay. So we can stop that from happening, right? So how do we prevent this from happening? How do we prevent that? Okay, well, you know what? I got in front of the job, jumped out of the car, and went inside. Wasn't even thinking, right? Then I realized at midday, hey, I sent you a message. I apologize. Thought I sent the message, whatever the case was. So how do you prevent that? Because if that's important to both of you, right? That's something two of you have established, right? Then okay, well, you know what? I'm almost there. Let me go ahead and shoot your message. I'm about 10 minutes away. All right, that may work because you tend to get into your parking space at the job and going in, or the phone may ring or something like that. You know, uh, just about there. I'm good. Okay, talk to you later. I love you. Right? That's just an example. Now, if you are a person who has unresolved trauma from a controlling relationship, that's going to be difficult because now you're thinking that somebody is trying to control you, right? I do it. I like to let you know I'm here. If I'm going to another site, when I get into the car to travel to the other site while I'm traveling, I send a message. Listen, I'm going over to such and such. Right? It's a lot of reasons why that should happen. Again, because things happen. Things happen. Yes, if I send a message, 10 minutes prior to, but it's not always just that. Sometimes it's the principle of comfort of the person knowing that you're safe. If you tell me you're going to your girlfriend's house, you're going to your girlfriend's house. Just let me know when you get there. Don't call me so I can listen to background noise and see if I hear anybody in the background. You don't ask, well, who's that? No, none of that. That's control. That's control. This is what we do. We send text messages. Say, hey, I just want to know you're safe. Just let me know you got there. Right? Because at least I know that if something happens, that I have a uh, uh, an idea of where it may have happened. You know, you can break down and tell me you're about 10 minutes away from work, your car breaks down, your phone's dead. I know you broke down. I know you said you're about 10 minutes from the job. I know the route you take. I can come. If anything happens, somebody goes, when's the last time? Well, this was the time, and okay, well, we have a window, we have a frame of reference, right? So when the person understands why you're asking something, other than you just telling them to do this or do that, then it begins to bring some level of comfort to that person to know that you're not controlling them. You're not trying to control them. But when you just tell a person, yo, just send me a text message when you get there, well, I'm not used to doing that. Why would I do that? Again, so now you have to look at yourself and ask yourself, why are you thinking this about that person? Has this person done this to you before? Has it happened to you before? You have to start processing all these things within yourself before you settle within yourself that you're not going to accept that you're not going to do this, that you're not willing to do such and such, because that's where the problem comes in. So let's go to the article and see what the article is saying. about this. This is an all too common pattern for partners in long-term relationships who are allowing their relationship to decline. They let things go they are uncomfortable dealing with until they mushroom into much more complicated situations that can no longer be resolved easily, right? The ability for the relationship to return to a positive state is severely diminished, and the resources needed to do so more limited. Learning to predict a negative spiral early ultimately requires less energy, creates less damage, and makes healing easier. You understand what's being said here, right? If it troubles you, using the same example, that I ask you to send me a text, have the conversation about it. Don't just ride on the trauma of your past experiences, because all men don't have that same intention. Don't have that same intention. I want to be happy. I want to protect you. I want you to be safe. I want to know that you're safe. I do the same exact thing when I get to where I'm going. If I'm going to make a stop, I'm going to let you know I'm going to make a stop. I'm not telling you I need to know every step of the way. I just need to know that you're safe. If you say this is where you're going, I want to know that you got there. I didn't ask for a phone call. Just send me a text message. All right, I'm almost at work. I love you. I'll talk to you later. End the story. Send it back. I love you too. Right? If especially for black men, you know, we have a lot to contend with, in society from every facet of this life. She wants to know that I made it to work, that I didn't get stopped along the way and encountered some kind of negativity and lying dead or hurt somewhere. Think about it. How many people just went to the store, to the corner store, and you get a phone call from the jail, from the morgue, from the police. There's a knock at your door and they're telling you something has happened. We need you to come with us. Now, if I sit down and explain it to you in that capacity, you may be more willing to do this. If you don't, it's entirely up to you. But why would you not? You wouldn't because of your own issues of being controlled previously. Some people just have that personality, but I'm not letting no man control me. And it has nothing to do with trauma. It has more to do with the conversations of the group that they're in, from their mother, from their father, from their girlfriend, from their homies. Yo, man, you don't let no woman do this. That you need to find out where your woman is. It's conditioning that comes from somewhere else. The media doesn't help much. Movies don't help much. And when you're traumatized by a particular thing and you see it, prevalent in film, you begin to believe that that's real, that it's real. I mean, how many people didn't like the movie Waiting to Exhale? How many people didn't like Stella getting her groove back? How many people didn't like Baby Boy? Think about those things. Think about the things that you've endured throughout the course of your life and how they've impacted you and how they condition your thinking. Number 2 on the list, focusing on what isn't working. Too often, couples who have been together for a long time forget to remind each other of what they value, respect, and enjoy in the other. Most of their interactions have instead become logistical check-ins, reminders of disappointments, and angrily expressed buildups of frustration. When partners are newly in love, they focus on what they love about each other, even when the negative is present. Again, what was the foundation? What was the beginning stage of that relationship? Right? What did you love about that person? What was it about the person that you saw that you were like, oh man, oh man, I can see her on my hip. I can see her laying across my bed. I can see her laying on the beach with me, man, with babies, sunshine, little drinks with umbrellas. I can see that. I can see me. Oh man, I can see children with her. Yeah, I can see all that with her. Yeah, you can see all of that, and you just looked at a person, and you saw all of that. Who's living in the fairy tale world now? You have to look at these kind of things. You know, think of how many artists out there. Movie stars, recording artists, you know, and ask yourself if they weren't in that position, would you even have looked at them a second time, a first time? Think about it. They look real good because you see the money. Yeah, you get that. Yeah, that's what's up. Mm, yeah, yeah, look at her. Yeah, babe, come here, girl. What are you thinking with at that moment? What are you thinking with at that moment? I'm a good conversationalist, so and I'm real. I'm an intense person, so I make eye contact. I say things that provoke thinking. Right. So if you look for somebody that at least put two vowels together in one sentence, put a sentence together, I'm that guy. But then I'm beyond that. And if you're used to people who are just like barely putting sentences together, then you get somebody who can put a whole sentence together. Matter of fact, even a 120 word paragraph together in speech. Okay, yeah, that's what's up. So that's what you're attracted to now, right? But you still don't know me. You still don't know me. But you liked all of that in the beginning. But now that we're in a relationship and I'm having these intellectual conversations, these conversations about what's happening with us and why things are going the way they're going, like, you don't like me now. And then the longer you not like me because of how I approach life, right? That's where the contention comes in. And you start loathing me for the very thing that actually attracted you to me in the beginning. So what are you really in love with? And that, if you notice in the article, it keeps talking about long-term relationships, right? It keeps talking about long-term relationships because this is long-term relationships that we're talking about here. Because it's typically long-term relationships that are the ones that go on and on and on for years and become so contentious, so toxic, because you no longer have the value for the way you met me and what you liked about me from the beginning. That's tarnished by me raising the expectation of what the relationship should look like if it's growing. Not who I expect you to be, not what I expect you to be, but you put it out there. You said that you wanted this is who you are, so on and so forth. But then when you get called on those kind of things, it's not really what you really wanted. It was just good conversation. It was your representative. It was your salesperson who was doing all those things. See, you're a good seller, but you can't close the deal. You can't close the deal, right? Number three, attacking important people and other partners' orbit. So now we're talking about the person's circle. If I could instruct new couples in the two or three most important crucial areas, I would tell them to never find fault or attack anyone who is important to that other partner, even if the criticisms are accurate. That is especially true if the other partner also feels critical of those people and is already struggling with them. All your friends are telling you need to have a fancy car and diamond rings, and girl, all good things come in time. No congestion. But think about that statement. Girl, you know I'll do just about anything to see a smile on your face. So don't let your friends go messing with your mind. Of course. And girl, you know there ain't nothing I wouldn't do for you. So babe, you don't ever doubt my love, 'cause it's true. Right? But you go back to girlfriends. What your girlfriend tell me? I don't like her anyway. You know, she always doing this, she's always doing that, she's always showing up when she ain't supposed to show you, she's always in your ear about this, that, and the other. And she's already struggling with that relationship because she already knows these things about her girlfriend. And she's trying to hold on to that relationship. She's hoping that that'll change about her girlfriend. She's hoping that her girlfriend will be different. She sees those things too. But see, before you were there, she was there through thick and thin, ride or die. And she's struggling with that relationship because maybe she's concerned the fact that she may need to let it go. But she don't need you to tell her that. Let her come to you and tell you about that relationship. And don't throw it back up in the face. Well, you know she's this, that, and you know she foul, this, that, and the other. No, you listen. You learn. This person is important to her. This is her go-to person when you ain't the one that I can go to. This is the one who, when I was down and out, was there for me. Yeah, she got some foul, funky ways, a little ratchet at times. But who are you to tell me I need to get away from her? I just don't mess with you. When she comes over, right? I ain't around. We going somewhere, right? You already know how I feel about her. Don't put her in my face, because we ain't gonna have a great time. Because my thoughts gonna always be on her, right? If we happen to be in spaces where we have to be, because we had an event, something like that, I'm gonna be cordial and be all this stuff, but don't bring her over the crib and think we gonna sit down and break bread and have tea and all this stuff together, and I'm gonna be happy with it. Don't do that. That's another part of that. But I'm not gonna sit there and berate, belittle that person went in there. I'm not gonna be in the kitchen while we getting the drinks and talk about now why you got her here. Sick of her. That's gonna change the course of the whole evening. The whole event's gonna change. That's her ride or die. That's who she is. That's who she is. The other part to number three is triangles are always messy, and challenging someone to find fault with someone they feel conflicted about is more likely to push them closer to that other person and away from you. Where we at on time? We're not going to be able to get to all 10. We're going to get to five, and then we're going to pick it up next week. Number four, rehashing continuously without resolution. This is a big one for me. Often, after just a few sessions with a couple, I have memorized an entire disagreement sequence simply because they have repeated it so often in front of me. When I reflected back, the partners are in disbelief that it is that obvious. Yet those repeated, unsolved interactions are often hallmarks of a relationship going downhill. The underlying core issues are never addressed, buried under the monotonous babble that goes nowhere and leaves both parts feeling alone and uncared for. Trauma triggers are often at the basis of these erosive patterns and, if not recognized, will continue to drive them. I said that in the beginning of the show. I said that in the beginning of the show, right? And it's been my experience that if I'm coming to you about something, we're not talking about the toilet paper being put on a roll in this position because I like it to go over. You put it on because you like it to go under. It's not those kind of things. It's things that happen in our relationship that like, yo, listen, hold on. When we're talking, you tend to cut me off and don't let me say what I need to say. I'm guilty of that. Me, right? I'm guilty of that. I can do that. And that's an area of myself that I look at because I can get stuck on expecting a different response. It doesn't have to be worded the way I want it, but I'm expecting a different response, and I have the tendency to expect a response that is in alignment with what I think brings resolve to a situation. If I think or I see the other person giving responses after repeated attempts at acknowledgement, I do have a tendency to do that. And I know I do that, right? So that's an area that, in the course of the interaction, I make myself aware of. I pay attention. I see the body language. I see the look in the eyes. I see the head lower. I see the arms fold. I see those things happen when I do that. That's a sign for me. That's a trigger for me. Okay. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you talk. I know who I am, right? I know the core of it, right? The core of it is that I love you, and I don't feel like um, you are reciprocating in a manner that will bring about a healthy outcome for the situation. I feel like you're just standing on that, and I don't feel like you're being fair to me. Again, I think I said it in the previous one. I could be accurate in that assessment. I could be accurate in that assessment. But what's more important, an accurate assessment or a person understanding the significance of the harm that's being caused, right? Because I want to be heard, I want to be respected. So I'm looking for something to come from you differently, and I'm always getting the same thing. So I get frustrated that we're doing the same thing, and you're not willing to look at the core of your issue with why this keeps going the way it goes. So instead of being so rigid in that interaction, learning to be less rigid. But it gets difficult because again, we're talking about long-term relations. It gets difficult when we've been doing this for years, and you still continue to do this. You still fail to recognize what it is that you're doing and how it's harming us because you don't want to change because you don't want to look at yourself. You don't want to see why this keeps coming up for us, for you specifically. Because you have to have evidence of why you continue to act this way and why you find it necessary to act this way. So, what is your evidence? Well, this is my evidence. When this happens and that happens, so on and so forth, this is what you do. This is what I see that you do. Okay, okay. Now I have to look and say, okay, I do that. Okay, that's something else I need to work on. It's always a matter of working on the issue. Work on the issue. Don't just dismiss it and you stand here and I stand there and we don't come together to try to figure this thing out. Because when things continue to resurface, they become monotonous, and it talks about it right here. It becomes monotonous, and it becomes the foundation of our living, and that's what we do, and we deal with it until we get to the point where I don't want to deal with that anymore. Instead of bringing resolve to the issue, instead of bringing resolve to the issue. I'm very observant. Right? I can see where the strength is in that person, and in the conversation, acknowledge that strength and recognize that strength, and having the conversation with them, and reminding them, well, but I've never done that. You've never gotten that from me. You've never gotten that from me. So when I continue to get this from you, now we go into the mode of, when you do this, it makes me feel like this. It's not saying it's your fault. It's saying that's the trigger for me. When you talk to me in this way, when you fail to acknowledge, or when I think that you're not acknowledging, because I don't know that you're failing, but I've made that rigid assessment, and as accurate of an assessment I made that assessment, and I put you into this box because of the continued unresolved. But when you do this, it makes me feel okay. And because I don't want you to feel that way, I have to take a look at how I can address my stuff so I don't trigger your stuff, because we all got stuff. And a lot of people just aren't willing to submit. They're not willing to submit. And if you're not willing to submit, you're going to find yourself in the same position, because you think submission means giving up self. No, it means just giving up something that you don't, it's no value to. It's no value to that. Your stuff got triggered. They acknowledge that okay, they do such and such. It's when the lack of acknowledgement is there that this is what you do. And I'm just going to say this: there are a lot of people who don't acknowledge their stuff. They don't. They won't acknowledge their stuff. I am not crying. If I wasn't, I'd tell you, but I. Some people just won't acknowledge their stuff. They'll keep being the way they are. They keep doing, and then they'll keep exploiting your shortcomings. There, that's some narcissistic stuff. They exploit your shortcomings, because people who don't want to take responsibility and ownership for their behaviors will use diversionary tactics to keep from having that conversation. They'll flip the conversation, or they'll start bringing out a laundry list of other stuff that are not even related to just what happened. Number 5, prime time mostly elsewhere. This is one of the most crucial aspects of a relationship being unconsciously undermined over time. I often use the phrase going from being in the race together to one or both becoming the pit stop where the other's car changes tires. People in successful relationship teams decide together how to distribute the resources of time, energy, finances, love, availability, shared experiences, etc. If they do decide to do interesting things separately, they bring back those experiences into the relationship to enhance it. To enhance it. Like, I don't swim. I love the beach. I walk into the water to a knee height of water. Waves start getting a little rough. I'm coming at it. She loves to swim. Just swim. Go swim. And it's a joy for me in watching her enjoying swimming. That's a joy for me. But if you don't find joy in her joy, then it's not going to happen. And then you start finding yourselves doing more things separately because you don't find joy in watching her enjoy herself. You know, like going shopping. Now, I ain't got to walk up each aisle with you. Wear a chair. You go ahead. She comes and shows you something. Hey, I like that. You should try that on. Damn, that looks good, girls. You need to wear that tonight. Matter of fact, let's go in the dressing room. What dressing room you in? Number 3? All right, you go ahead back there. I'm going to go get something off the rack and carry it back to life. Bringing it to you. You put that dress on. Put that dress on. You know, men, we go into stores. We know what we get, and we go right in there. We get what we go and get. Bam, 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 bam. I got this amount. You know, I know if we go to the clearance rack, I look at the clearance rack. I don't get nothing. Nothing stands out. Nothing stands out. I'm out the door. They'll shop and they'll look at the dress and they'll imagine themselves in it. They'll imagine themselves in it with you. They'll imagine themselves in it, you know, at work. Just look right. They imagine themselves. They look at their figure. How's this going to lay on here? How's this going to lay on there? And they'll do that with 45 dresses. And I'm sitting there tapping my foot, or I'm got in the car and hit the seat. You know, and she come out. So what you been waiting for an hour? You good? You got what you needed, baby? Yeah. Then when we get home, she shares that experience. She takes all those things out the bag. She tries them all on for you. That makes her happy. You got to turn the TV off. You got to turn the headphones off and sit there and watch her. You know, as she models each one. She's happy. She's happy, right? So I'm experiencing her joy. I'm happy that you're happy, right? And that's what it talks about here. Bring back those experiences into relationship to enhance it, right? If they do decide to do interesting things separately, they bring back those experiences into relationship to enhance it. So I already know when she going shopping, I got, okay, get ready for the show, right? But then to watch her putting those things on and twisting and turning and standing in the mirror and admiring herself and seeing how it fits and seeing what she don't like how it certain fit in the area, because then she's going to ask me, what you think? Because I don't really like it. No, it look fine. That look good. Girl, you tripping. That's how you bring it into the relationship. That enhances the relationship, right? Because you're sharing her joy. Sharing her joy. So you have to look at those kind of things. And, you know, you got to go back to the beginning, as opposed to telling that person, hey, well, you know, when we first started out, we did this. Now we don't do that anymore. You know, we do date night. You know, we used to be consistent with it. You know, things change in life. We have a little one. We have, you know, and the little one is littler than the other little one, and then you have another one above that. You have things happen, so sometimes you try to commit to that, and sometimes you just be too damn exhausted, right? But you know that it's there. Hey, you know what? We haven't done a date night. Let's go over to the restaurant, Chi-Chi's or something. Go, you know, have some drink. You know, like the other day I came in. Yesterday I came in. We haven't been out for a date night in a minute. I went to the restaurant we hadn't been to in a long time. She had just said something about that restaurant. You know, we haven't been to such and such. This is about a week or two ago. So it popped into my head. Again, remembering her happiness, right? That'll make her happy. You know, I went to other places too, but you know, like I'm out. Let me grab something. You know, and bring something home, something a little smorgasbord, something home, from that restaurant, right? Because you understand the significance of keeping that connect, Because if we can't do a night, sometimes we'll just go run to a restaurant real quick. If I'm working remotely, we'll go have lunch in a restaurant. I come back and I go back to work. But those things are important. Still sending emojis. Yeah, we'd be in the same house and sending each other emojis, right? But you got to keep your thumb on that pulse, man. You got to keep doing the work. You got to get out of that box. You got to get out of that rut. You can get out of it, but if you're not willing to submit, that's a no-brainer almost. That you're determining the outcome of this relationship if you're just staying the way you are. If you're just doing the same thing over and over again, and you're not coming outside of that, you're not replenishing. You get up in the morning, you get something to drink, right? Because your body needs to be replenished. You drink water to stay replenished, to keep yourself looking full, to keep the blood right, and everything like that, to keep the love right. In a relationship, you got to keep doing those kind of things. So you got to be remembrance. Remembrance. It's just like for me, remembrance of God is inevitable for me. I was like, that's what I do. Like, why would I do anything else? So if I chose you to be a partner in my life, I have to think of you often, often, not just in my time of need, my time of want. I need to think of you often. I need to remember the value of you often, right? But now if somebody's always asking you about why you love them, then that's something else. Because if you're not observing if you're not feeling me, if you're not vibing with me, right, then that's a problem because you should already know. You shouldn't be asking me, right? Sometimes you're asked that because they want you to continue to validate yourself. Why you love me, why you love you. Do you love you? Do you? Anywho, we're past the hour. We got started a little late, so um, I want to make sure you got the full hour. Some conversations, some thought-provoking statements, some article reading. That's how you grow, man. You just keep reading things. Psychology Today, man. You read this article, you scroll down to the bottom, it's another similar article, you click that, and you keep, and that's how you grow. That's part of how you grow. You're not going to grow if you're just sitting around, just staying up in here. You're not going to grow. You're going to be just the way you are. You're going to expect people to accept you just the way you are because you're not going to grow. And you're going to continue to find, yourself in the same situations in regards to relationships. The same situation. 10 years. Nothing changed. You got out of that. Got to another one. Nothing changed about you. Nothing got worked on. Nothing got addressed. And you're still having the same expectations from this person that you have from the other person. And you're going to find the same exact thing. Then you come to the conclusion that men ain't shit. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host as always. I ain't got no music for you today because you see, back in here, I'm out on the patio. Nice cool breeze. The lighting is not the best, but it's a nice cool breeze. But like I said, I'm working on some other projects right now. Some home products where I can begin to increase my income. Uh, Utilizing my art, my graphic abilities, my video abilities. There's a lot of things I got going on, man. It's going to start happening. Yeah, stay tuned for my obituary. Yeah, it's going to be some eerie stuff, right? Because one of the things I'm about to delve into is doing video pieces for people's obituaries, right? Um, keeping that person fresh and alive in your mind, as opposed to when you get the obituary, you read it, it's great, you take it and you put it on the wall, or you put it, in the side of the Bible, the Quran, whatever it is that you read. But to have something digital that you can go back on And people say, well, that's like really weird to hear it. But people that you don't see for years show up at your funerals. You'll see them for years. Show up, oh, I saw Aunt so and so. Oh, she looks so good. Yeah, she need to get a better wig, but she looks so good. And then Uncle Bobby, he done put on all this weight. He used to be so skinny as well. Look at Uncle Bobby, right? You can hold it out. You can look at it over and over and over, right? And I'm gonna do my own. I don't need you standing up at the podium telling some lies about me. I don't need you standing over my holes. Oh, he was a good man, and you didn't show me that love when you were here. I don't need all that. I'm gonna let you know who I am, right? Because I still am, even after I'm no longer physically here. I still am, not who I was. And we often talk about was, was. You should be leaving a legacy, right? So it's some things like that that I'm delving into, things that I don't see that are happening that people are getting. But yeah, it's going to be a little deep to do my own obituary, but that's going to be part of the promo for the product line itself. As you all know, March 4th, my new single, Bottom Feeders, dropped. Make sure you check that out, along with my other music, on all your favorite music streaming platforms. Yeah, you can check all that stuff out there. I keep busy. Keep busy. That's how you keep your youth. That's how you keep your sanity, right? Because you got to take care of you first. You got to do things that you enjoy first. Because if I'm expecting you to be my joy, my everlasting joy, I have to have some kind of conditioning within myself of doing to keep those things going. So when things get funky for me, I have a go-to source of relief and don't rely upon you for that relief. Yeah, too much reliance upon the other person for relief. Suck them dry. Then they can't even take care of themselves. So I have a great day. I'm your host as always. It's been